Hey dudes, Sylvite Soltis here, and today I'm back with another guide for you. As I'm sure you all know, Phase 4 was just released, and with it, scores of great new items, enchants, and the like. If you saw my most recent video about Phase 4, I'm sure that you have an idea about some of the things I'm most excited about in this new era of Classic. And, as I mentioned in that video, the biggest reason I'm excited for Phase 4 and Zül'Gurüb is the simple fact that I now have a reason to finally finish leveling my alts. Well, thinking about that got me to realize that there's probably a lot of people in a similar situation. And since there's now such a plethora of content that Fresh 60s can engage in, I thought it might make sense to provide you all with a bit of a priority list in order to get your capped character, be it your first or your 12th, geared up as fast as possible. Do note that many of these activities listed can be started before capping though, so make it a point to start preparing as early as you can. Anyway, without further ado, let's get right into the video. Priority number 1. Find a guild that suits your needs. No matter what your goals are at Endgame, the absolute first priority you should have is to find a guild that suits your needs. After all, if you want to get your character fully decked out in Tier 2, it only makes sense that you move on from your casual leveling guild with only 3 level 60s in it, right? To do this, you need to clarify what it is you want at Endgame, what your play schedule will look like, and how much effort you really want to put into your soon-to-be level 60. Then, keep an eye out on the forums, in looking for group and trade chat channels, and even in the groups that you run with toward Endgame. And finally, definitely shop around. Don't just jump into the first guild that appeals to you. Look, guilds in Classic are absolutely mandatory for anyone with a desire to progress at Endgame. They provide a social network of other like-minded individuals with similar play schedules. So find one that works for you. And obviously, you should do what you can to contribute to them in turn. But if you end up in a guild that doesn't provide you with any incentives to play, you're going to get bored really fast. Priority number 2. Run Zül'Gurüb as often as possible. Assuming that you've reached level 60 already, your second priority after finding a suitable guild should definitely be to run ZG as often as you can. Now that this raid is out, you've got a shot at some of the best loot in the game every 3 days, with quality basically sitting somewhere between Tier 1 and Tier 2 loot. Moreover, ZG is also a 20-man raid, meaning there will be much less competition for the amazing items within. But just in case those two facts aren't enough reason for you to do it, the reputation associated with this raid also offers amazing rewards, including epic enchantments and trade recipes, which will no doubt help your character even more. But more than yourself, these rewards will attract many geared raiders to run this troll raid over and over and over, even if they don't need any of the gear drops. So basically, it's free loot. Get in there now. Priority number 3. Get attuned for the big raids. Before you reach 60, or when you're already saved to ZG for a couple more days, your next priority should be to get attuned for the big raids: Molten Core, Onyxia's Lair, and Blackwing Lair. Although these old raids aren't as efficient in gearing your Fresh 60 up as fast as Zül'Gurüb is, the fact of the matter is that there are still many amazing items in there. Plus, through running the dungeons to complete the attunements, you're bound to pick up a few nice drops as well. While you're doing the attunement quests, make sure you pick up other relevant dungeon quests so that you can get more rewards on your way. Once attuned, make an attempt to get into the raids weekly for a shot at some loot. This is where having a suitable raiding guild will be handy, especially if this is your first level 60. But if you don't have time to commit to these big raids every week, or if you can't seem to find a guild that matches your needs, there are still a couple of other ways that you can get decently geared up. Priority number 4. Complete relevant quests. Though often overlooked, there are some amazing quest rewards that every character should aim to grab while leveling up. If you somehow got to level 60 by purely dungeon farming, however, you might have missed out on some great items. So, do a bit of research over on Classic Wowhead and see what kind of quest rewards you could pick up for any slots you might have missing. I've listed a lot of these quests in my guides previously, but just for good measure, here are a few highlights. The Alliance quest, General Drakasat's Demise, awards great trinkets for all classes, and the Horde equivalent is part of the Onyxia attunement, so you should basically get a free trinket by this point. In Dreams is the end of a long quest chain in the Eastern and Western Plaguelands, which offers amazing rewards for all classes and requires players to run Stratholme live at least once. Since you're guaranteed a choice of a melee neck, healer ring, tank chest, and more, you really should knock this one out as soon as you can. The quest chains from the Eastern Plaguelands that end in Order Must Be Restored for Alliance and the Scarlet Oracle Demetria for the Horde award a decent wand, a bow, or an intellect shield to adventurers who go the distance to complete it. The Battle of Darrowshire is a long quest chain that's out in the open world that you can easily work on while still leveling. It awards a tank ring and a caster/healer necklace. It's Dangerous to Go Alone is the finale to Lincoln's quest chain in Ungoro Crater, and this awards an okay melee mainhand weapon, or an amazing caster/healer offhand, as well as a boomerang trinket. Finally, Job Opening, Guard Captain of Reventusk Village, is a must-do for any Horde melee DPS, tank, or hunter, as it awards an amazing hit and attack power trinket that you definitely won't replace for a long time. Again, note that these are only a few of the quests that you can do, and most of them should be done while you're still leveling. But if you haven't gotten something better for one of those slots yet, feel free to do these chains. Priority number 5. Spam dungeons. Finally, your last resort for gearing up fast at Endgame from Phase 4 onward should be the traditional dungeon spamming method. Though you may be inclined to farm reputation or collect recipes for certain trade skills, the fact of the matter is that the RNG of dungeon drops makes this method super tedious at this point in Classic's life cycle. If you're aiming for a specific quest reward, then by all means run the dungeon to work toward that goal, and maybe pick up some items along the way. But don't bash your head against the wall 200 times trying to get that Savage Gladiator chain to drop. On a similar note, unless you're sitting on an absolute mountain of gold, it's not really worth it to spend a bunch of gold on BOE items in the auction house either at this point. With Zül'Gurüb out now, we have 4 raids to collect gear in several times each week. Since many of the BOE items you can pick up will most likely be replaced in a few weeks of running ZG, it really doesn't make a lot of sense to spend all of your gold so early on. However, if you 100% don't plan on raiding at Endgame, dungeon grinding and the auction house can definitely be a great way to get some good gear. Just keep in mind that there are more effective methods to get geared fast. So, there you have it. The top 5 priorities that you should have in preparing your fresh level 60 for PvE content from Phase 4 onward in WoW Classic. I should also mention that there are other roads you could take to get gear, such as professions and PvP. So again, explore whatever options appeal to you. The priorities I listed here are pretty loose, and you really should feel free to do anything you like in the game. It's your subscription after all. That being said, Zül'Gurüb and Phase 4 in general has brought a lot to Classic, and it's really about time. Until now, we've basically all had to grind dungeons non-stop until we were fully decked out. But that's really no longer the case. Now with a team of around 15 geared raiders and 5 fresh scrubs, we can smash through the Troll City and collect fat loots to use in our attunement questing if we want. And that feels pretty darn good. Anyway, that's it for today. If you found this priority list useful or interesting, let me know by leaving a comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the matter. If you'd like to see more content like this in the future, why not subscribe and hit the bell for notifications? Alternatively, you can follow me on Facebook and Twitter for updates when new content is released as well. And you can check out my blogs over on Blogspot if you want a preview of what's to come, as I usually post over there before making a video here. In any case, thanks for watching. Good luck gearing up your Fresh 60 now that Phase 4 is out. Enjoy Zül'Gurüb, and as always, take it easy, guys.